One, two, 1, 2. 1, 2. Like check. Right, all right. Peace. Peace. Everybody out there on the late night grind. Here we are for a late night Friday session, moving into Saturday on the eve of the partial solar eclipse is coming later in the morning. So I wanted to do a quick breakdown of the number 333. And it's even different. I have a 333 video. I don't know if I ever put it up. I have a 333 breakdown that I did, and that is already different from anything that you would normally find on the internet. But this one is different from that. And we know life is multifaceted. And eventually I'll get around to finding that video and putting it up if I haven't already. But this 333, peace, Sage, peace, that crazy. Hope all is well with y'all. So we'll go ahead and get rolling. We won't worry about anybody. Man, my picture quality. Dang, this ain't. I don't like the way that's looking. Dang, let's see. Can I do to make that look better? Peace, Shauna. Shauna in the house. Okay. Quality. I want. Okay, I guess that's the best it's gonna get on mine. All right. Don't matter. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it work. So everybody who follows my channel knows about I went back to North Carolina to help my mother with some things. You heard the story about the going through the storm, tornadoes, and all of that. But when we were there, the storage unit that we were clearing out was 333. That was the number of the storage unit. And, that's a very mystical number, 333. But today I'm sitting and my mind is getting bombarded with downloads. I feel the Neptune energy at the anti-radiated degree so strongly. And I'm not complaining because I feel like things are happening. Like I talk about something, and for example, right here, I'm going to mention uh the word myrrh, like as in frankincense and myrrh. We're going to talk about this. And myrrh is the root of the word Moriah or Moriah, Mount Moriah. I'm talking to my wife after we left the gym today about Mount Moriah and some of its symbolic meaning. And she goes in Costco, and as she's walking out, the girl that's checking her items as she's walking out is named Mariah. Stuff like that happening, to Peace Lisa, things like that where that's not a very common name, Mariah, to where things are showing up when you're not trying to, and it's just little little things to give you indications of that the cosmos is alive, it is pulsating, it is a huge ear that is listening and responding to what it hears. And one of the reasons that we study a multitude of things is so that we can be able to see things when the cosmos is speaking and to hear, or see when the cosmos is showing us something and to hear when it's speaking. So that's the introduction. Part two of the introduction is it is said that Pythagoras said, quote, that God built the universe on numbers. Then the Zohar says, quote, God built the universe on the letters of the alphabet. And I'll be repeating these two in other videos. Pythagoras built the universe, said God built the universe on numbers. The Zohar said God built the universe on letters of the alphabet. Major clues there, I should say. And this will especially show itself in another video that I have coming um, about some interesting things that I discovered just on Peace Y'all. Uh, um, so so let's go. Storage unit number was 333. While my wife is in Costco, I'm sitting out in the truck and I'm just taking notes on all types of stuff. My mind is just going, you know, feeling super creative and just my mind is feeling super receptive like a womb. Um and I wasn't even looking for what I'm going to talk about tonight. Um I was investigating the topic that I'll be speaking on in my next video. Either it's going to be recorded or I'm going to do it live. I wasn't going to do this live tonight. I was going to record it, but it's so much easier just to go live because I don't have to go back and edit stuff and all that. But by working on that topic, this fell into my lap. And because I was looking at Mariah, like I said, I was talking to my wife about that, and I'm looking at Mariah about this other stuff I want to talk about. And so, in doing that, I want to show you what fell into my lap, and this is going to be a quick, um, a quick discussion. We're going to go to the board here, and I don't even have all this worked out in my mind. This is going to be me working it out as I'm talking. I want to make this like an invitation into the wheels or the gears turning in my own head. All right. So I'll give you the 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 fragments, the pieces here, the shards, and I'm gonna put it together as I'm on here. I'm just gonna let it all gel. Let me get to. I had a lot of things today. You know those things where they go. I had a lot of those today, and I don't know. It might not even seem that significant, but it's significant to me. And this is to reiterate why I think everybody, you should be studying astrology. You should be studying numerology, and not just the basic. Oh, I'm a life path one. I'm a life path two, and which not. And I don't want to say that to belittle, but I'm saying in addition to that, because that those components are important. Everything is everything, but I'm talking about going a step further. Like when I say numerology, as in kind of moving into gematria and which pulls you into studying Hebrew. And I ain't talking about being a Hebrew scholar. Hell, I mispronounce words. Some of these words I'm probably not even pronounce them in the right inflection. Who cares? The thing is, which is not saying that these things aren't important either. But I'm not studying to go and defend a thesis. I'm studying to get the symbolism so that I can use it as a tool to help me in all aspects of my existence. If you study the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and study them and study different combinations of words that then have numerical correspondence, then remember I told you I was on the highway and I saw exit 152, exit 151, and he's sticking in mind. I'm listening to James Spann on what was it, 92.9, and I saw that as 11.9, reverse of 911, and so then you can give a point. These are points of reference because Pythagoras said God built the universe on numbers. And the Zohar says God built the universe on the letters of the alphabet or aleph-bet. Those are clues. What's one clue? That numbers and letters are the same thing. Numbers and names, especially, are the same thing. The name identifies the number, gives a vibration to it, a frequency. So that's one. Well, one don't mean nothing unless I know what one does. So then the frequency gives me more understanding of what that title or name I gave it. The frequency is going to tell me, well, what's the essence of it? You know, and so everybody should be not to have this stuff just to sound intelligent, but these things should be practical tools. Like this stuff is should not be for mental masturbation. And we all go through that point where we're just collecting data, and it's like, oh yeah, I know this. But there is something inexplicable about when you actually see things manifest and play out. And one of the benefits of having big significant transits, astrological transits, like the outer planets forming certain configurations relative to your natal chart, progressed placements, um, um, all these types of things, these certain points that are triggered, like mathematical points, where it's not even an actual planet, but it's a something like a vertex, or say an outer planet comes and conjoins, opposes, or squares a planet that's in an intercepted sign. And you've been waiting to try to figure out there's something about certain aspects of your life. It's like it's always something there, and I can't quite get a hold of it. This is like an intercepted sign, and these outer planets can come through and unlock things. And when you have these moments in life, this is when you are your most magical because pressure causes change. So when pressure is on you, you have the greatest potential to realize how magical you are. Don't be fooled by the approach to this stuff that says if you were magical, then your life would just be sweet. Yeah, that comes, but the realization of how magical you really are comes under duress. You can bank on that. You can bank on that because that's the real test. That's the test of your endurance, and it is the revelation of what is in you. You need pressure. You know how magical of a genre jazz is, and jazz ain't even that's a name that's a label that was thrust upon that music. Jazz artists coming out of the early 1900s it wasn't jazz, it was music. It were outliers who wanted to come and try to figure out titles to give things. Because that's what people who can't do, that's what they do. They try to sit back and label things. The people who are doing it, they're just doing it. Jazz is a title given to just an expression that came out at a certain period in the human time continuum. And this was born out of pressure. That trumpet, the screaming of that trumpet is compressed energy coming through that brass. That's what it is. It's magic. And I don't think that magic comes out that way without those harsh conditions, you know? So right now is just a tense time collectively, you know? But this is, you're living in a magical period. To be alive right now is magical. It's truly magical. And it comes out of pressure. So I don't even know how I peace, black butterfly, peace, poetic heart. Shalom, good brother. E in the house. Um, and I've told this story several times how we used to, when we were renting, how we used to pay our rent with $2 in the account. And our rent was like 1,400 $1,400. And that was a particular girl that was working at the neighborhood Walmart. Uh heavy set white girl, had all these tattoos up her arm, but the girl always was pleasant. And as I said, if she there, the rent going through. And it wasn't nothing it was because all it was is the thing gonna let the card go through? We swipe the card. And that's why I'm like, I don't, man, thank God for overdraft. That's that's if you want to talk about the ancestors got something to do with overdraft. That's poor man's credit right there, you know? and that girl be there, that rent go through, you know? And the count be like $1,300 overdrawn, but we don't care because we got our head above water. We at least got a month, but we know we got somewhere to stay, you know. I told a story about how they at the storage, we got locked out of our storage. All my old tools and all our stuff was in there from when I used to be a forklift mechanic, all my nice tools. I'm like, damn, lock this out because we couldn't pay. We were behind. I think we owed them like 300 something dollars. And we was like, pressure, the pressure on us to make it figure out something. And we were like, yeah, we're gonna go in. They do auctions. Cause back then is when all the storage wars was still big on A&E. And I used to want to try to get in there, and I was like, I wonder if they're gonna do an auction. Got our shit back for like $104. I remember we bid 100 and I gotta go look that up. And cause that's 104, that's 14. Osiris coming back together. 14 in Hebrew, there's a word for 14. I can't remember, but I think it means joining together that has a value of 14. So pressure pressure can bring magic out of you. Pressure can bring creativity out of you that you didn't know was there. And um and this is a pressure packed time right here. But understand again, it's magical. The sun has just crossed the vernal equinox, right? They had the Holi festival on the day of the last eclipse, which is the Holi festival is supposed to be the triumph of good over evil, which is basically a vernal equinox celebration where the sun is gaining strength again. The sun's preparing to move into Aries where it is exalted. Why? Because it is rising. When the sun is in Aries, it is in the proverbial east. It is rising. Okay. And then we have this eclipse tomorrow that is a north node eclipse, which means it's the car is turning towards the north, towards Aries. It's turning towards destiny. It's turning towards embarking on a new journey. It's turning towards the baby being born. That's Aries. And then the next day, Neptune moves into Aries. Now, like I said, I've talked about the potential negatives of it, and I mean, I've seen people bugging out, no direction, out of their mind. Black dude in the parking lot at Costco today, take his shirt off, arguing with some white dude, and I'm like, man, I said, man, please don't let this dude have a gun and shoot this boy, because I don't want to have that ingrained in my psyche of even being on the property at the time where this happened. I don't want to be, but so we got a whole bunch of examples of the negative. People bugging out, crazy car wrecks, not normal. And I mean residential car wrecks that are horrific, not the highway, but on residential streets. Just the energy being grabbed, the Hindustani culture, they call them grahas, grabbers. The Navagrahas, the nine grabbers. So you can be grabbed that way and completely out of your mind, no direction, or you can channel the creativity right now. C. Freeman say everything down here you got to pay for. Ain't nothing free. So it is what do you want to pay for? Do you want to magically create your reality? Well, you got to pay for that. Or do you want the comfort of not having to apply all of the pain that it takes to create another reality? Okay, Well, you have the comfort now, but you're gonna pay later. Either way, you gotta pay down here. This is a pay as you go universe. Everything costs. So I didn't even mean to go on all this, but I guess is what I'm supposed to do. So this is what happened. I was looking at the word or the name Mariah. Okay. This now, if you break it down, this right here is myrrh. Myrrh. More. Myrrh has a value of 246, and this is Yah, one of the names of describing divine force, Yah. Because I was looking at these two together, Mariah, it equals 261. And I'm going to show you in our next installment that um, that's reduced from this. And this is a code. This is the master code. Okay. So I was looking at that word and but as I was looking at it, I don't know, some kind of way I stumbled on to just looking at the myrrh. And then it hit me. Myrrh. Myrrh. You know, growing up in church, you always learn about when Jesus was born, the wise men brought frankincense and myrrh. So then I started going down the rabbit hole of looking at myrrh. And from a Hebraic standpoint, or if you want to say etymological, this word means to alter. It means change. It means exchange. Remember, I said everything down here costs. You've got to exchange something. This word also means to remove, and ultimately it means renewal. This is an alchemical. What you'll start finding, peace, God, science. Hey, man, I ain't had a chance to respond to your comment yet, man. I'm sorry about, the latest with your family, but the thing about it, good brother, is you still here. So you got to continue being the Moses for your family, you know? But condolences and peace and power to you and your family, good brother. Y'all keep your head up. Um, but yeah, myrrh, to alter, change, exchange, which means the change then moves outwardly. It's a it's a it is a bartering, you know, removing that change and altering also deals with removing. You can't keep on with something and then become something else. Like C. Freeman L. Everything costs down here. You got to give up something. Everything's built on sacrifice. Something got to get sacrificed. Even for a baby to get here, something got to. We had a dove show up while we were talking, and I mean, all types of shit been happening. I mean, just when I say this has been a magical day, you know, uh, but the dove represents In one regard, it represents the womb, and another, it represents the semen. And the semen is the male sacrifice. The man has to die for the baby to get here. And he has to die and give up his essence. I mean, everything is everything. And this, when you start studying this stuff, you will find they are equations. These are mathematical equations. And I'm not no mathematician. I only can do simple math. And that's how I need it. Simple math. These are simple math equations. They're alchemical equations to show you how something becomes itself. How something becomes itself. So there's myrrh to alter the change. Well, what else did they say? Uh Peace 9/11. What else did they say? They said that they brought frankincense, right? Frankincense and myrrh. Now, uh Hebraically, frankincense is Lebanah. Whenever you hear Leban means white in different variances. So Lebanah, uh, excuse my crude. So that's Lebanah. Now that word adds up to 87. Okay. So again, this is an equation. Now I want you to see how much is packed into this little bit. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Just remember, myrrh is ultimately it's we're going to say myrrh ultimately is transformation. We're going to sum all that stuff up with that one word, transformation. Okay. Now, Lebanon is defined as a white resin. Hmm. Or an oil. Now, we all know that we produce a oil called colostrum, runs down, right? From the awakened pineal, it runs down. But we also know that the mother creates an oil in her mammaries called colostrum that is transmitted through the milk, right? And if you've ever seen breast milk, it has a golden look to it. So that's the land of milk and honey. But here we have another variance of white, of something about oil, a resin. And if you think about the concept of Christ, which is chrism or Christos or Christos, what it ultimately means is an oil, because Mashiach is rubbing oil, or it's a lubricant. It's something that is preparing something to be, it's It is the rubbing of the oil so that a fire can be lit, or that the fire can be brought from another dimension into this one. The oil, the secret meaning of oil, it is a it transfers fire. Fire never does not exist. It's just is in another state. But you have to have something to open a doorway to allow it to come into this reality. Oil and friction allow fire. That's the doorway to bring fire into this realm that we're in. But we don't create fire. We just create a portal for it to come through. And oil is the major key for opening or forming that portal. Okay. So this may be still in sounding just a whole bunch of philosophical, but just look at the absolute value. Transformation of oil, or transformation and oil, creates or allows for a flame to come through a doorway. The act, the act of transformation, which is the act. So for something to transform, there has to be what? What are Christians around the world about to celebrate? Easter Sunday soon, which is the death, the burial, and the resurrection. That's what transformation. Those three are summed up by transformation. Transformation means something's got to get removed. Something's got to get let go of so that yet you may live. This this root myrrh, when you put it with Yah, Moriah or Moriah, that's the mountain in Palestine where it's said to be in Palestine, where Abraham, the great patriarch, takes Isaac up to the mountain and he's willing to sacrifice his son, right? But y'all know the story. What was there? It was a ram. All you Aries out there, it was a ram in the bush. Now, people get caught up splitting hairs on the dumbest details about this. Well, that's what's wrong with the Christian thing now. You know, sacrifice, and see, it was a blood sacrifice ritual. Like, people are get real dumb. This is symbolism. This is symbolism. It is showing about the willingness to detach even from something that I love, which means I have to be willing to suffer, to suffer. And on this mountain, when there was a willingness to release what was valued the most, then a ram showed up in the bush. And so that moment on the mountain is Pisces. This is the ego has been dissolved. I'm releasing the attachment to what I'm really holding on to. That's Pisces. And then the ram appears, and there goes Aries. We're moving into Aries. But first, I have to release and dissolve. And look at the timing of this. When we have Neptune, the modern and daytime ruler of Pisces, a couple of days from now is about to move into Aries. And so here it is right here at this moment. This theme shows up for me. So I guess his spirit showing up. So like, this is what I'm supposed to talk about, and this is the message supposed to go for. Transformation and the oil allow for the fire. Now, when you add, I'm not gonna do the adding yet. We need to break this down some more though. We need to sit with this because I don't want this to sound just like some, just some feel good, whatever. I wanna really delve into this, and I want to demonstrate how magical it is to explore this language. It's really a gift, you know, and it's your birthright. Okay, look at this stuff. And here go the part now where I'm just working this out in my own head as we talking. Look at the components. Lebanon as a single word is oil, right? Or resin. But let's break it down. Lib, this is has a value of 32, but more importantly, that's the word for heart. Look at this. Look at this. And then nah, nah. That means beauty. So the oil is the result of the heart being able to express the beauty that is hidden within it. In other words, it is the what do they call that when they go to these? It's the excavation of things hidden in the heart. The true passion, the true love, the drive, the essence of creation that is in the heart being expressed, it is beautiful. What does C. Freeman Ellis used to say? Black man is buried in a shallow grave in the East. And he said, the East is here in the heart. And when that is allowed to express, then what it is there's a beauty that comes out of it. And that beauty, see, that word beauty also means harmony. That word beauty is where we get cosmos from. Cosmos means beauty. That's why it's cosmetics. Cosmos, harmony, order, all of these things tie back to beauty. And when these things, this particular leg of the equation comes together, this equation then produces this equation, which is an oil. Now, this word beauty would tie in astrologically to Venus. And we know Venus would tie into Anuk or the Ankh because the beauty, what does it do? It magnetizes. It magnetizes. We are drawn to beauty. The reason why beauty is there is to magnetize and draw. Because then the drawing brings on the commingling and again produces an oil that creates life. So remember I said Venus. We're gonna come back to that. Um, Here's another thing about this. Nah, this part of the word equals 55. So you study other words that have the same numeric or gematria geometric value. So a word, important word that also has a value of 55 is kule or kula. This word right here is in Greek would be what is the equivalent of the heros gamos. This ha on the end is the bride, and cool means all. So this is the bride and the groom coming together. This is the holy marriage, which produces the holy marriage is something beautiful. You see, I'm just trying to show how these things they feed on each other. These are equations, and the marriage is going on inside of us. There can't be no relationship outside of me until I have a relationship inside of me. Nobody can give me what I don't already have. To make this more practical, I must have a holy marriage within me. I must find the beauty within my own heart and release it and allow it to blossom and flow. So we got that part. So let's go over and look at, I guess these little boxes won't go away. Uh, that's kind of annoying. Uh, let's see. So then we're gonna break down this word um myrrh. Before we but man, so we've already said that myrrh um would also coincide with myrrh or more. But then if we break it down more, no pun intended, then this right here, you know what that is? Mu has a value of 46. So all we're doing, we left the resh, which is the equivalent of our R. We left the resh off and we have mu. Now, Albert Church Ward wrote a book. I don't know what that might have been in the 30s or 40s. And uh Delbert Blair user mentioned that book and some other folk. But Albert Church Ward has a book called Children of Mu. I got it back there. Children of Mu. And you know, there's people who's known things. They may not have had everything figured out, but they've known a lot of things and they've played around and just put out little bits and pieces. But children of Mu, do you know what Mu means in Hebrew? It means the outcry of the vulture. And you know who? And see, this is why you gotta. This is why whenever they always want to take Hebrew and compartmentalize it off to itself because they never wanted to show what it really ties into. It is not by itself. It's commingled with other languages. Okay. What was I about to get? I was about to grab. Oh, here's the vulture. This is the goddess Mut or Maat, Mut. And her name means death. But if you reverse her name, Tum or Tim or Team, it means perfection. So even in her is embodied the spirit of transformation. And the wings are spread because when the wings are spread, the sun then helps cleanse the bacteria on the wings. Because I talked about another video how the sun, as long as it's shining, it helps to create ozone. As long as there's ozone, ozone falls and creates hydrogen peroxide, which is antibacterial. These are codes. So Mu is the outcry of the vulture. It's the outcry of Mot. Now, Mot, that word, the word relationship, which relationship is associated with Venus. Well, the etymology of the word relationship leads us back to vulture. Commercial alert. Go get my bundle. It's in my bundle. I gotta remember where is it at in here? Let's see if I can remember. My aunt Thanos. This is the section. Mott, Thanos, and the Vulture. Uh, boom, boom, boom. Where did I find that at? Where did I lay that out at? Uh, uh, I say it's different aspects. I talk about Malachi 4 and 2 in here. I talk about the vulture is also considered a sign of. Wait a minute. Where's that part where I talked about? I specifically talked about a relationship. Boom, boom, boom. Mystical secrets. Hold on. Here we go. Mott as relationship. One of the most difficult things to accomplish in this existence is to have positive relationships, especially between the opposite sexes. If you and a significant other can achieve this harmony, there's that word beauty, harmony, then you have accomplished a version of the great work. Furthermore, if you can manage to heal the divide within your consciousness between the masculine and feminine parts of your psyche, then it too is part of achieving the great work. Naturally, the concepts of balance and relationship go hand in hand. So let's look at the etymologic variations of the latter. Relatus, to carry, ferry coincides with bear. The word relatus is the past participle of referre, Baron traces back to Old Frisian Bara, Old Norse Bara. I carry. It also traces back to the word toll, left, support, way, Latin, tolerance. Now here's where it connects to Mott, because toll is a code word for Tula. And Aleister Crowley talked about how Tula is a black woman. And this is what connects the relationship to the vulture, because the vulture means we got to give up something. We have to exchange. The vulture deals with exchange. It is getting rotten meat. Something has had to give up its life, but then the vulture is cleaning up what nobody else wants to deal with, for one, but it then also has to clean up the stuff so it can actually eat it. And it helps keep the scales in balance because it controls population. It cleans things. It is bearing, it is weighing, it is measuring. That's Venus. That's what relationship is. Where you go and take yourself and put you on the scales with another person. That's relation. So I'm just trying to show all these different things are all encased. And I could keep on reading here, but I don't want to get so far off. I've already gotten too far off of my. So here's all these little things are. So it's not just what the reason I'm bringing in these things, because these equations are not just for like etherical, otherworldly. Everything should always be able to be practical, or else it's a waste of time. If you can't make it work in your everyday life, what what are we doing? We might as well go back to church, where they told you that we're gonna get our robe, we're gonna get our shoes and walk all over God's heaven, and then da, 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 and I'm just and where they sit around and saying hymns all day about when they go to heaven. But we talk about them, but sometimes we treat the knowledge we into the same way. Like, if this shit can't do nothing in my everyday life, what the fuck? I need to make this shit work for me. I need to figure out how this Hebrew collection of letters that form these words, damn, is it talking to me about something that's like how to bring some balance in my own such and such and such, in this aspect, that aspect. That's how I see it. So that's kind of why I went off on that little tangent. But here we got, you take the myrrh and break it down. It's mu. It's the outcry. The outcry. When something is crying out, that means something was inside. Something is being released. The vulture cleanses itself by vomiting. It's a release. It vomits on its legs after it starts eating on the carcass, because the vomit helps cleanse the bacteria. And when you cry, I had two good cries over the last 3 years. Four, my sister passed away in 2021, and my grandmother passed the next year in 2022. And when I went home and cried both of those times, I remember telling my mother, I told my wife, I said I felt like my insides had been washed. The outcry, the flowing of water, it's like it cleansed, relatively speaking, bacteria on the inside. Because you know what I'm saying? Crying really does. Now, not sitting around all day, just we're not talking about being ridiculous, but especially for men, we had to keep such a shell, you know, just that. And then I'm up there and I feel like I gotta be strong face for my mother and I gotta be, you know, but just being overwhelmed by the seeing my mama crying and my grandmama and my niece and and then and then you have memories go back about you. This is my little sister in this box, and then there it go. And then you ain't trying to be a man no more. It's like, man, fuck this shit. This my sister, you know? Um, and just let that shit flow. And that shit was cleansing. Once again, these are equations. This shit is not for mental masturbation. These are equations to use. Mu, the outcry. And then the resh. The resh means head. I'm gonna gotta try to erase all this shit. This is too much. Okay, good. Let me write it again. Um, so we've looked at mu, okay, but now we're looking at the resh by itself, and this is head, like the head. Peh, resh, yud. This is the eating of the fruit. You know, the resh is the head, the peh is the fruit, and then the yud, taking the hand, the fruit in the hand to the head. Peresh yod. So resh is the head, has a value of 200. But once again, we are investigators. So let's go and find another thing that has a value of 200. Because if it has 200 value, then shit. Oh, well. If it has a value of 200, you can't leave your pen down to this thing. So my wife, they have a dish they make called kanafe. And this would be the root, kanaf, right here. Kanaf. And this is kanafim. You know what this means? Wings. And this word has a value of 200. Look how this is encoded. This is Mott. She's a vulture totem. She has a vulture totem to represent her. And outstretched are the wings. So Mu is her birthing a new reality. Mu, the outcry. And then the Resh, based on its numeric value, corresponds with Kanafim, which is the centerpiece of her stylization here, because her wings are outstretched. Now, y'all know that y'all know that very familiar scripture. That scripture in Malachi 4 and 2 at the end of the Old Testament. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness. The word son is only as far as I know, the word son is only capitalized two places in the Bible. Joshua chapter 10 and here in Malachi. The son capitalized of righteousness was giving you a major clue. It tell you what the book is about. By capitalizing that son, It tells you what the book is about because we're taught that the main character is the Son of God, Christ. But by them capitalizing the SUN right there at the very end of the Old Testament, it's like, here we go. They like, let's see who gonna catch it. The Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. The vulture is really an agent of healing because it is helping to facilitate the process of transformation. Rise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. Remember, the vulture extends the wings for the cleansing that comes from the sun, healing in his wings. So here, this word is oh man, it symbolism upon symbolism upon symbolism. So I need to release what I am holding on to. That is conveyed even at the rudimentary level of this word move, because it's an outcry. I need to release. When I cry out, I'm releasing. I'm also birthing at the same time. But then when I take the whole word myrrh and put it together, that word by itself means renewal, removal, release. And my willingness to do that with me releasing and fully developing what is in my heart is the master equation for awakening the Christ in me. Because myrrh equals 246. Lebanon, if you remember, is where we began before we broke that word down, equals 87. 246 plus 87 equals 333. When the character given this name is born, these are the things that are brought: frankincense and myrrh, which is 333. So, in other words, this birth of Christ is when your soul dies on the other side and is birthed into the human vessel, but that Christ lies dormant. This is the equation for how to wake it up. It needs Lebanon and myrrh. It needs an open heart and the willingness to release what I used to be and what I thought I was and allow myself to become a willingness to transform, then allows this oil to be fully developed, which it then is rubbed on a wick. And that wick, when rubbed, the friction then activates and releases this chrism, which is also a fire. And guess what this is? 8 and 7, 15. 1 and 5, 6. Here's a 6 right here. 2 and 4, 6. Here goes your 666. And that is carbon. So if we want to really get excited about um even if we say our melanin, It is it is it's we know it's carbon. It's made from carbon, right? But even at that, it is just lying dormant. It's lying dormant. It's like having 10,000 guns and they never be clean, they never be loaded. They're just guns, you know? But how do I load them? How do I clean them? How do I shoot them? You know? So this equation is saying, yeah, it's there, but how do you activate it? How do you bring it online? How do you use it? And that's the real story of right now. What's your personal magic? Neptune, magic, Aries, personal. I am. And I'm gonna give you another clue. In Exodus 3 and 14, with that whole scene on the mountain, notice major things be going down on these mountains in the mind. Mountains are the mind. Somebody goes up on the mountain and they talk to so-called they're talking to God or talking to their higher self. And they go up there, have this conversation, they're trying to figure stuff out. Who I'm supposed to this is this is going on inside of a person's head, you know? What am I supposed to do? You know, like tell them I am that I am. Aya Asher Aya have sent. So I am that. That's also a major code to the book because this is how things all came about. If I'm everything, then I'm gonna say, oh, just think about it. I am that I am. That book, I am that. Hmm. I am that. I am that. Uh, I am that. Hmm. So going around, I am that. I am that. And that am I. And that I am. I am that I am. I am that. That I am. Going around and naming everything. And then at the same time, numbering. And so that means attaching a frequency to an identifier so that we would be left with codes because because you are God, because it named itself everything that was in existence, that I am, that I am, that I am, including you, you know, including me. I have said ye are gods, but you will die like men, like, l- see, like, not as, but like. You're going to be like men, but I've told you you're gods because I named everything as I am. One of the hardest things to do is to imagine the um is to imagine yourself in another state. And I don't mean like Connecticut. I mean another state of being. It's hard. It's hard that when you in a certain situation to imagine yourself and see yourself in another timeline. We can talk about it, we can pontificate, but to actually sit and do it is hard. Let's say you're in a particular situation now, right now, and you want to, it's not fulfilling, right? And you can talk to a person about doing something else, and questions of how may come up, right? I don't know, but the person will respond as if they have already made the decision that they fear would put them in turmoil or bring pain and whatever, or lack or whatever. But we you haven't even done it yet. I'm just saying, just imagine. You wouldn't believe how many people I talk to just be like, just imagine. Sometimes the programming is so strong that we can't even imagine ourselves in another situation. Before you go to bed and you drift off to sleep, right there at that, when you right there at that gate and you kind of in and out, start a match, see yourself in that particular other state of being. But you know what's hard even for that? Even if you got the drive to put the effort forward, you may not have taken the time to even know what the other state is. So you understand what I'm saying? You have to name it. You have to name it first. What is it? I'm talking about the state I'm in right now. This da, 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 da. But I have yet to name what the other state is. And then before I go to sleep, to imagine it. See myself. Yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Bum, 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 bum. It's hard to do. It's hard to do because the programming be so thick about that. I just all the but that couldn't do that. And I can and then that's then it's a done deal because you've already said what it will be. So you stuck. Because in the beginning was the word. That shit ain't just no scripture. That's a magical formula. In the beginning was the word. So as Bobby would say, suffer to the best of your abilities. Suffer. Suffer until we choose to change our words. Because we've been given a formula for how to create fire. I must be aware of what is in my heart, and I must be in a state that I allow myself to release. And sometimes it's hard to do the visualization and the imagination because we can't get to a point to even let shit go. That's what I'm talking about. I can't. I ain't. I can't. I can't. But I'm so tired of this. But I ain't. I ain't doing that though. And see that then and that's ego. That's ego right there. Because I've determined The attempt to avoid suffering is ego. We're so philosophical about ego and all this. But what's the worst thing that ego don't want to suffer? Suffering is destructive to ego because it forces you to shed an old skin, which is an old shell. But the equation said it was frankincense and myrrh. It said if there's a willing to release and to give up, along with the the development of the beauty that's within the heart, lib, heart, na, beauty. If I can release the beauty and allow it to speak in my own heart, and I can release at the same time, where there are two or three, there I am. There's your two and three. Um, I know just us having a conversation here, I always like to remind people that I'm not immune to suffering. Not at all. People don't be the only difference is when you put yourself in this position, you don't have many you don't have a lot of times uh many sympathizers, you know? Um but yeah, hell, I had to go through I'm here today doing this, having this conversation. I would have never thought 12, 13 years ago that I would be doing this. And it is the result of I had to finally let something go. I was so angry. I worked so hard to build up what I was and just feel like it was snatched away, you know, and then going through the thing of being mad at everybody and you know and all types of things and it finally just came. I just had to let it go. You know, I just said, hey, I didn't have no choice. Just had to let it go. And then I stumbled into something else. Or a fire was allowed to come into this dimension because I finally just had to just let that shit go and allow myself to become something new. You can tell you a little secret about my chart. I only have one planet in mutable energy. So I have natural tenacity as far as taking leadership and I'll see something through, which is great. But interruptions and disruptions, you know, can sometimes be very bothersome, but even worse. You got to think about what do the mutable signs do? The triplicities are acting out the acronym God. The angular signs are generators. The succeedent or fixed signs are operators. The cadent or mutable are destroyers. So sometimes, so The amount of time it took that I wasted because I didn't know that I was in D and I'm still trying to go back to O because I'm a GO. I'm go. I'm a GO. I'm generator operator. But the full equation is God, generator operator destroyer. And if you lack mutable uh, energy, then you'll have to be forced to learn how to allow for the destructive aspect, which means what do the mutable signs do? They close out the season and they move us into another season. And while sometimes being determined can be great for getting things done, it can be equally detrimental when a season is over with. It's over. But you're like, but I'm still attached to that. That's part of who I am. And no, motherfucker, it's over. It's a wrap, Johnny. So I'm talking about me because never get it misconstrued. Like man, this shit's real. That's why I tell these stories. I don't, and I don't, man, and maybe that's just dumb. I swear I don't see a lot of people, and I guess that's the game. You got to play it where you always got to be, I'm here and you're down, but man, motherfuckers be going through shit too. They just don't want to say nothing because they got to keep that image of looking like, they got, man, fuck all that. Got real shit, you know, that I have to work through. That's why I'm a hell of a fucking coach. That's why I'm a hell of an astrologer. Cause of that shit. Not about no fucking astrology, to be honest. It's cause I got real life data. You want tips on raising children? I can give you some. It ain't coming out no book. You want tips about shit in your relationship? I can give you some shit about how to work together with your mate and make some shit happen. Real life data. You want to figure out how to destroy an old version of you and create another one? I can give you tips on that shit. Real life. You want to work through healing family wounds? I got shit on that. Not theoretical, you know, because that's the value of having difficulties in your chart and having to live through it and figure it out, da, da, da. Then it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I ain't, no, I can relate, I can understand what you're going through. I might not be in the same situation exactly, but I can relate to struggles. So look, this is how we're gonna work through this. Da 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 da. Frankincense and myrrh. Master code. Frankincense and myrrh. 333. Have you ever heard 333 explained that way? If you're seeing angel number 333, it means that your guides are telling you that swollen feet and and hog mogs are gonna be the best. Like just your angels are telling you, and everybody when they say they gotta talk in this voice, and the lights gotta be just right, and the sunlight's coming in on my face. If you're seeing angel number, blah 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 blah. No, no, this a whole new way to look at 333. All right, I have talked enough. It's 1:23 here, and then I gotta be up at 6:30. Take my uh I gotta take my daughter to practice in the morning. But either way, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you can take this and utilize it in your everyday walk. Magic is real, and magic just means power. That's what the word means. Magic from magnificent, from magnify. It means power. So, do you feel like you have any power? If you do, then you have magic. And if you in a state of duress, then know this is the perfect time to realize how much power you got. You don't know. My wife, before we got married, she used to have this little picture up in her bathroom say, a woman is like a tea bag. You never know what's in her until you put her in hot water. Like, okay, I like that. That's I like that. Let's adopt that as a collective. The hot water, the pressure, you don't know what's in you. You don't know. You don't know how magical you can be. You don't know how creative you can be. And sometimes when it's worse for it to be there and you haven't realized it because it will trouble you. It will eat at you. It's worse for it to be there and you don't realize it than you to not have it. Some people just ain't got they just everybody's got something, but some people got a little less dose of. But some people, let me tell you something. I'm gonna be straight up, and I'm telling you to the people who know I'm talking to you. So I ain't beating around no fucking bush. Some of you I have talked to, some of you all I talk to all the time, weekly. I'm around people who got gifts. You understand? And some of y'all need to quit bullshitting with your gifts. You need to quit fucking pontificating. Quit making 10,000 goddamn plans and start doing some shit. You understand? My words come out harsh sometimes, but you got to listen to the absolute value. I would rather somebody harshly tell me that I'm great and quit fucking around and sitting on my greatness than to kindly be a fucking hater. Some people will kindly enjoy you not ever realizing none of your gifts because it never will separate you from them. Oh, it's okay. No, it ain't okay. It ain't no fucking K. It ain't okay to sit on your gifts. Quit bullshitting. Quit being scared. It's Aries season. You understand? That motherfucker went up on that mountain and said, I can't talk. Who I'm gonna tell them? Motherfucker, tell them I am that I am. So I become anything I decide I'm gonna become. Because I'll name a thing and it is me. And I'm that. So you haven't made your mind up yet what the next thing you'll be. Because you don't want to call it yet, because you're afraid of it. I don't know. Fuck that. Die empty. Die empty. The worst thing you can do is go with a full belly. If you die before you die, then when you die, you will not die. If you die before you die, then when you die, you will not die. I'm Jamal Robinson, 720astrology.com. Know the stars to know yourself. And of course, stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace. Thank y'all for joining in too.